Most people talk to be heard. A rare few talk in a way no one ever forgets. The difference has nothing to do with what they say. It has everything to do with what the Stoics understood about presence, 2,000 years before anyone called it charisma. Think about the last conversation that actually stayed with you. Chances are, it wasn't the cleverest one, it wasn't the loudest. It was the one where the other person seemed completely, unshakably present. No rush, no performance, just attention, given fully, without asking for anything back. That is rarer than intelligence, it is rarer than good looks, and it is exactly what the Stoics spent their lives training. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire, yet the tone of his private writings in Meditations is almost startlingly calm. No urgency, no need to impress. He wrote as a man speaking to himself with total honesty, because he had nothing left to prove to anyone. That same quality, when it shows up in conversation, is magnetic. Not because it is trying to be, because it isn't trying at all. Here is the pattern most people get backwards. They believe talking more, saying something impressive, filling every silence, is what makes them memorable. But silence, when it is calm instead of anxious, communicates something words cannot. It says, "I am not afraid of this moment. I do not need to fill it." Epictetus, who spent years as a slave before becoming one of Rome's most respected teachers, said a man is judged by his actions, not his claims. The same holds in conversation. Confidence is not what you say about yourself. It is the steadiness underneath everything you do say. Consider how differently two people can ask the exact same question. One asks quickly, almost apologizing for taking up space, eyes darting away before the answer even comes. The other asks slowly, holds eye contact, and actually waits to hear the answer instead of already planning the next thing to say. Which one do you remember? This is where the Stoic principle of the dichotomy of control becomes strangely practical. You cannot control whether someone finds you interesting. You cannot control whether a conversation leads anywhere. What you can control is whether you are fully present for it, whether your attention is real instead of performed. And paradoxically, letting go of the outcome is what makes people want to stay in the conversation longer. Seneca wrote to his friend Lucilius that it is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, who is poor. Apply that to conversation, and the lesson sharpens. It is not the person who says too little who is forgettable. It is the person who is constantly craving the next reaction, the next laugh, the next sign of approval, who becomes exhausting to be around. Neediness in speech sounds like over-explaining, nervous filler, and questions asked only to be liked. People feel that hunger even when they cannot name it, and it quietly repels them. So what does talking like this actually look like? It looks like asking a real question and genuinely waiting for the answer. It looks like a pause before you respond, instead of rushing to fill the space. It looks like saying less, but meaning every word of it. It looks like remaining the same person, whether the conversation is going well or badly, because your calm was never dependent on their reaction in the first place. This is not a technique to memorize. It cannot be faked for more than a few minutes, because the moment the pressure rises, an act collapses back into anxiety. What the Stoics understood is that presence has to be built, slowly, in the parts of your life no one is watching. It comes from a person who has already made peace with being ignored and therefore has nothing left to defend when someone finally does pay attention. Marcus Aurelius never spoke to be remembered. He spoke as a man already at peace with whether anyone was listening. That, more than any line, any trick, or any technique, is what makes a person unforgettable. Not the words, the stillness underneath them. So the next time you find yourself reaching for something impressive to say, stop, slow down, ask the real question, wait for the real answer. Because most people talk to be heard. The ones who are never forgotten have simply stopped needing to be.